Yeah, it's a video really quick. For all of God's children out there, um, like if you ever, because I know a lot of us fall into this rut. I mean, you don't even have to be a child of God to really fall into this sort of thing. Hang on, you know. But when God speaks in the Bible, He's speaking, to the, um, to His children. You know, I mean, obviously a non-believer can read it too, but I mean, if you still, if you don't belong to God, then really, Um, but I mean, go ahead, read the Bible. But I'm just saying, you know, like I said, seek God for yourself. Don't listen to anything I tell you. I mean, really, seek God for yourself. I'm not God. But anyways, read Psalm 73. Because in this world, I mean, it's been this way forever, but especially now, there's a lot of persecution going on, and you know, I mean, of course, I mean, God doesn't want people to suffer, but I mean, it's just we live in a fallen world, and when you try to live, when you try to be a light in the midst of it's not even that you're trying to, like, in some kind of religious way, like religion is trying to do something. You don't try to, it just the light is in you, and eventually as time goes on you become more and more and more light and less and less and less dark. So um I just want to like give you guys some encouragement. Read Psalm 73. you know I mean, you might be familiar with it, but just read it again. It talks about how, like, wicked people prosper. And wicked, obviously, I mean people that, um, you know, scoff God, people that make fun of God. Society might see these people as nice people, and they might come across to some Christians as nice people, but they scoff God. And you know what? All of us do, even Christians. We might not do it verbally, but we do it with our behavior, with our thought process. Just but you know what? We belong to God. God is, we're forgiven, and that obviously grace is not a license to sin. If you think that, then I suggest you speak to God and say, God, am I really saved? Like, if you look at grace is a license to sin, well, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't do that. Then you might really want to see God and see if you really belong to Him at that point. But um, I'm just saying, like, people that really belong to God, just read Psalm 73, and just know that things don't last forever. Because I know, like, sometimes in my life, and I still kind of do this. I think we all do. We kind of look at people, and obviously, what I mean by prosper, I just mean prosper. It doesn't necessarily have to be financially. It could be anything. It could be relationship wise. It could be it could be anything. Like, just like, why do people that have like, if a lot of people say, even people, obviously people that don't even belong to God, say, why is it that you know I'm doing this and this, and these people over here are just like, well, first of all, I mean, really, I mean, if you don't belong, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this to where this doesn't sound like I'm being a jerk about it. But if you belong to God, you're under grace. If you don't belong to God, you're part of the world. You're part of the problem. You know, um, and again, God's children are not better or above and beyond anybody else. That's definitely not what I'm saying, because that's prideful. I'm not saying that I'm better than you or you're better than anybody else. I'm definitely not saying that. But if you don't belong to God, you belong to the world. So, I mean, if you don't belong to God and you look at somebody else kind of coasting by you, well, really, I'm not saying God's not going to help you. I'm not going to sit here and say what God will do and won't do. Because I truly believe that God does help people out that don't belong to Him. But when He does it, when He does it for His children, He does it under. I mean, everything is by grace, and grace is only found through the cross of Christ. Because without Jesus' death on the cross, there's no communication between God and mankind. That is the, the kind of like the bridge between mankind and God. God had to come down here in the flesh and make a way to Himself. So, but whatever. I mean, especially for God's children, people that actually belong to God, there's a lot of injustice. You know, like you'll even find sometimes your family turns, you know, like with no cause or no reasoning, just like, dude, like out of the blue. I'm not saying this happened to me at all. I mean, of course, I mean, my daughter's situation, I mean, whatever, if you go back and watch my other videos, that had nothing to do with, because I didn't even belong to God back then, really. I wasn't even God's at all. Like, I didn't even really acknowledge God at all. I didn't know how to. I knew God. I mean, I knew the word God. I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know anything about it. I belonged to this world. I didn't know anything about it. I was living for myself. I mean, really. So I'm not even talking about that situation. That's a situation all in itself. You know, like I said, I'm just moving out from that and just living my own life at this point, and whatever happens, happens, whatever. But I'm talking about more along the lines of, you know, when you come to Christ, you'll find like, you know, you know, just things are different. You know, so just read Psalm 73 and just know that, you know, it might seem like people are skating by you and just like, you know, they're being blessed and all this other stuff, and it's just like, just read Psalm 73, you know. So I mean, Psalm 73 talks a lot about what a lot of people struggle with, especially people who belong to God. Because when you belong to God and you have a relationship with him, and you're thinking to yourself, I mean, of course I'm not perfect, of course it's a process, but I'm sitting here legitimately trying to have a relationship with you every day. And you know, all these people, like, I mean, how could all these people that, you know, laugh at you all day and scoff you and all this stuff, they just seem to just skate by, you know? Like I'm not, I mean, obviously you don't know what goes on behind closed doors with anybody. But really, I mean, these people, like, come on, dude, you know? So, I mean, it's very easy to catch that attitude, to just like kind of like fall into that trap. Don't fall into that trap. That's a trap of the enemy. Don't do that. I mean, sometimes things look a certain way, you know, but eventually, you know, when you scoff God, you're gonna run into a brick wall, you know. And you know, some of these people that, you know, do this sort of thing, you know, that don't even not acknowledge God and don't even attempt to live for God for whatever reason. You know, they might even skate through their whole life and they, you know, have a whole bunch of, you know, have their own little entourage of friends and family or whatever. You know, they got themselves a nice little cozy job and, you know, a nice little shiny car and a nice family and all that stuff. And then they die a peaceful death. And people look at stuff like that and they think, whoa. I mean, sure, the guy, girl had problems and whatever. We all do, but come on, dude. I mean, this person just woke up and, you know, laughed at God every day and taught his kids how to do it. Like, not only did he laugh at God, but he also, like, through his examples, and he encouraged his kids to be God haters. So now his kids have kids and they're God haters. Like, this dude just bred a whole generation of people that just do nothing but scoff and hate God. And this guy just like lives some kind of, you know, life where just, come on, or girl or whoever, like, are you serious? Like, you know, it's easy to just look at, you know, the external, you know, like, and just question it. But obviously you never want to wish anything bad upon anybody, but there's a God. And once this life is over and you open up your eyes, all this is nothing but, you know, all this is nothing but, like I said, it's vapor. It just dissipates, you know? I mean, real life starts when you die, you know? You could sit here and call it, well, that's just a belief. Oh, okay. But, I mean, are you really willing to chance that? Because if you think that there's no such thing as God, well, you better be right. Because, I mean, trust me, I've experienced things. So I know that there's something out there. And, you know, I mean, look at the world. Do you really think that there's no consequence to you know, to your actions? I mean, like I've said before in my previous videos, down here on this planet, if you break the law, there's a consequence. If you follow the rules, there's a consequence. Do you think it's any? Do you think it's any? I mean, do you think that when we all die, it's just like whatever? Do you think that rules only apply down here, and then once we die, it's just like I don't know. If that's what you think, I hope you're right. I mean, I don't hope you're right, but you better hope you're right, really. And it's not even about playing safe. It's just a look. I mean, read Psalm 73. The wicked, they don't prosper for long. And I'm not saying you should ever wish anything bad upon anybody. Don't do that, because then at that point it'll just come right back around to you. Just leave it in God's hands. God knows what he's doing. And God sees you. He sees your pain. He sees your injustice. He sees God sees everything. So just know that. Read Psalm 73.